Greetings, folks. Seems like we got 66 people on the stream right now. Starting just a little bit early, making sure I don't have any technical difficulties. Let's see here. All right. So, first off, let's see. Go ahead and like the video if you can, so that we get bumped up on the YouTube homepage, so that people who don't know about EmberGen can see EmberGen. That does help. All right. Today we're going to be showing off some really cool stuff. I'm really excited about this. This is probably the coolest build of EmberGen we've ever had. We have camera imports, we have animated meshes, we have some new UI stuff to show off. We have some camera tracking stuff to show off. And so lots of film type features, lots of workflow improvements, and all that stuff. So we'll go ahead and give it another minute or so, and then we'll go ahead and start the stream. Of course, let's see. You can see my desktop background here. It says EmberGen. We do have a little tiny thing that we can show. It's just a small teaser. Let me see if I can find the Discord here. And so let's see, what we've got is let me find it real quick. We have a channel called EmberGen Suggestions in our Discord server, and we have this neat little preview that we have. So here we go, a nice preview, and it's looking pretty good. Of course, no other information on EmberGen at this time other than this, but if you have suggestions for things that you want to show off, or rather that you want to tell us that you want in EmberGen, we can see this guy. Thank you very much for the detailed feedback. You can go give us feedback on this stuff. So of course, it's only feedback that you can guess, because we aren't showing anything right this second. But otherwise, go check out the picture. It's pretty cool, and it'll be on our new website whenever that's launched too. All right, so it's 1 o'clock. It's time to get the stream going. So without further ado, let's go ahead and open up. I think what we're going to do is we're going to show off some new EmberGen first, and then we'll go into like the new UI and show off some camera tracking stuff and whatnot. But for now, here we go. This is still the old UI, as you can see. The new UI is still being built. We'll show you more of that in a little bit. But right this second, I'm gonna go ahead and open up a really cool preset to kind of kick things off. And so we've got a couple new presets that we're kind of working on. One of the unfortunate things about 0.7.5 is that it is going to break every single preset that you've made in previous builds. Something that we can't get around because we have a new lighting system and all kinds of stuff. But we think that our installer is going to install the new version of EmberGen, and then keep your old exe as well, so that if you do have old presets, you can quickly switch between the two versions of the software and still, use whatever you want. So let's go ahead and do this Hurricane Planet. If you guys have seen our most recent render updates, so this is our newer renderer. So you can see that this is running completely in real time here, and it's a pretty slick render. And what we have is we have like a disk, so it's not like projected onto a sphere or anything like that right this second. But we have like a top-down view, circular view of a planet. And if we removed this primitive, you'll see that it's just the square volume. There's like a little hurricane thing. It's kind of going through that we have timed and whatnot. So this is pretty sick, and it looks really good. And so, but we have a mask over here to kind of make things look more like a planet, I guess. And so then within this, we have some of our new lighting stuff. So we can change like the elevation of the sun. You can kind of see that it's definitely looking like the sun is setting around a planet, even though it's on a disk. And we also have like ambient lighting and things among that nature on here. So really cool. And so then, you know, like let's say that we wanted to really crank up this detail. Of course, we can do upscaling on this. And it's going to be a little bit slower, but it's still going, I don't know, maybe 15 frames per second. It's kind of hard to judge. And so it'll kind of kick in once the turbulence starts happening. Now we can see that we've got a really detailed simulation here. This is 268 million voxels, so a quarter of a billion, quarter of a billion voxels in this case. And so we get a lot more really cool swirls, some really high detail stuff. It's actually starting to look kind of like Jupiter or something like that. And so one of the really big things with this right here is you'll notice that we have basically one smoke emitter, right? So we have one of our smoke emitters, but we have multiple colors. And so how are we doing that? So I think what we can do here is we will go to our lighting node. This node is actually going to be renamed shading because that's really what it truly is. And if we go down here into our smoke, you can see that we have like a little smoke tab, and then we have color ramp as the smoke coloring. And if we change, say, the dense color, so the densest part of the smoke will be this blue color, and then the thinnest part of the smoke, which is the clouds, will be the thin color that I set here. And so we have this as like a color gradient, and you can map that out so that you can get different colors based on the density of the smoke. And then you can also remap the colors. So if you wanted to change, you know, how it's remapping the colors or whatever, so maybe you want more yellows, maybe you want more blues, and I think we can even go higher. So yeah, we can go like 25 or 50. So if we really want, you know, mostly blue stuff, we can get that. We can turn the upscaling off here so that we can see this a little bit faster. So yeah, you know, really cool to see, you know, how you can change all the colors and get those different gradients in there. And I do have an explosion to show off that kind of gets into the nitty gritty of this type of thing. You can see my little hurricane thing that I kind of have keyed in there. We got a issue where it's got like a really hard edge, but it's pretty cool though. So another example showing off that thing. Watch it crash. Okay, of course it's gonna crash. It always does on stream. It's funny. Like whenever I'm testing this stuff, like right before the stream, nothing crashes, and then when you're on stream, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna crash. Of course I am. All right, maybe this one will open. If it doesn't, I'm gonna cry. Maybe it's not opening because it has an animated mesh in it, or something like that. Okay. Well, it's just gonna lock up, I guess. Got to Control Alt Delete. All right. Third time's the charm. We won't open that particular preset then. Let's see. There we go. No, I don't want to open again. Okay. So, go back to our presets, and so I guess what we can show instead of that is I do have a big explosion. So come on. There we go. So here we go. Some of our newer fire shading on here. And so you can see that's some pretty damn good fire shading, guys. we're really working to try and increase the fidelity of our pyro simulations. And then you can also see the multicolored smoke. So we have like really dark smoke where it's thicker, and then we have lighter smoke where it's thinner. And so if we go into our lighting node here, right here, I keep getting tricked by volume because that's where stuff used to be. So if we go into the lighting node, you can see that it's really dark in the dense color, and we can change the remapping if we want to kind of change those different colors. And that's going to give you a lot more, you know, noise inside of your colors, or sorry, noise inside of your render, and really make the rest of the colors stand out. So it's a good way to add extra detail rather than having just a single solid color. And so, and somebody said I have two EmberGen windows open. I do not. One is a little command prompt. You can't have two versions of EmberGen open, unfortunately. It would be good for like preset comparing, but it is what it is. So yeah, so this right here is a really nice explosion. You can see that we kind of have things, they're kind of like blown out at the beginning, and if we wanted to, we could go into like our fire, and we could change, you know, maybe like our color remapping or something like that to really fix this. Or it was at like 25,000. We could change like our shaping by flames or something like that if we wanted to. If we wanted to fix this like really bright spot at the beginning. But otherwise, once it kind of gets into it and fills in its shapes, it is some really cool shading, and it's a nice rolling fireball. And so yeah, that looks pretty good. And so this is all part of our new rendering stuff that we have. And so let's see, we've got some other examples within this. And so let's see, I'm just going to open up Fire Shader 2. Don't particularly know what it is. And so yeah, so here's some more fire. We can kind of see that we've got some smoke going up, and we've got some cool fire shading. And so once again, this is using our new fire stuff. So basically what we can do is we found out that if we essentially, so what you would normally do is you would have something like this, and your color remap would be going from, say, you know, black to red to white to whatever. But we figured out that if you make the minimum value higher than the maximum value, you get a lot of transparency within your fire and your flames, and it actually turns out really good. So we might want to see if we can like swap that or something by default, and then have it so that you have your min and max value so that they make a little bit more sense. But you can get some really cool flames out of this, and it's going to be super powerful. We have quite a few more ideas to get Pyro to look even better. For instance, I think that this build has it. We have actual turbulence as well for your flames and your smoke and all that stuff. So if we go here to our temperature turbulence, we should be able to see it. And if I pause this, and let's see, we turn up like our sharpness, we've got like our bias to kind of change the turbulence, and you can see like all these like little like really hot pixelated voxels are coming up. So we can like change our turbulence size, you know, and this is adding a lot of different temperature variation within the fire. And as we play it, we can see that it has a lot more color variation. We can also change like our animation speed. We have, you know, our turbulence size that we can kind of change there. We've got like a different bias that we can add to it. And so we hope to have like a cool little curve editor for this type of stuff, and maybe like a turbulence 2D preview so that you can actually see this kind of stuff. But another cool thing is, I don't know if we showed this in the last stream or if we had it available, but we do have some cool new previewers as well. So for instance, we can see like our velocity channel, we can see our smoke, we can see temperature, flames, our fuel, which in this case there must not be a lot, and then there's divergence and vorticity. And so if you want to be able to you know, kind of debug your simulations, we have a new plane slicer thing that's coming for this. And if you click the little settings icon up here, what we can do is we can change like the slice position. You know, we can go to like the z-axis if we want to see how things are, and you can do this with any of the different things. And then also you can map like specific colors to it, so that if you want to, you know, see something more than just black and white for your data range, you can do that if you want to. So some pretty cool things coming up in that regard too, so that you can debug things and maybe see like, hey, is this colliding correctly, or like, how's my, you know, vorticity, and whenever I do this specific thing, you'll be able to view those specific textures in a slice format. And then hopefully we'll have like 3D flow lines and things like that down the road, but I don't think that's going to make it into this next build. So going back to our projects here, we have this animated zombie, which unfortunately it seems like every animated mesh is going to crash, which, you know, I might have a fix for that. Just give me like 2 seconds here. I'm gonna look at a older build real quick, and let's see, is this the one? So here's what we'll do. We'll launch an older build that I think will work with this specific preset. All right, we'll try again, and if not, okay, it's crashing again. All right. This looks really, really bad on me, right? Let's see. From the 31st, we'll try this one. Because I want to show you this particular preset. Okay. Presets. Come on. Where's that? Desktop. EmberGen stream presets. And then zombie. Are you going to load? If this crashes again, then I really just think it's borked completely. Okay, so that preset just doesn't open in any of them at all. Actually, I have one last one to try. Here we go. This is the only other build there is on my computer that maybe this will work on. Okay. There we go. Okay, finally. Jeez. All right, so this right here is showing off like a animated mesh, a zombie that's crawling or whatever. It's decently high fidelity, hence the lower frame rate here. But we've got this, and so let's see, it's at ×2 scaling, so we can kind of decrease that a little bit. And so now we can see we've got a dude that's on fire, or a zombie, depends on what you want to say, and he's crawling on the ground, and he's emitting some some meshes and stuff here. So it's pretty cool. Let's kind of see what some of the comments are. My body is ready for the UI. I need to see it. People talking about EmberGen. Yeah. So really cool stuff here with what we have with animated meshes. And so let's see if there's any other animated mesh stuff that I want to show in this particular one. Yes, I wanted to show my poison clouds. So in this case, let me turn my 2x sim off. So in this case, we have a little guy running around. There's like some poison cloud stuff that's going on. And this sim, it takes just a little bit of time to warm up because we're using some of our new turbulent stuff. And this is kind of similar to the planet that you guys saw. And so you can kind of see the scale of how big this simulation actually is compared to the guy here. And so you can see that as he runs through the smoke, it's you know, colliding with him, and he's leaving like a nice wake behind and things like that. And so yeah. Somebody said Alembic, OBJ, or FBX. Right now we only support animated FBX. We do not support animated Alembic files right this second. But the good news is that for most things you can bake it into an animated FBX. The reason why we don't have anything with Alembic yet is because the implementation is far too difficult for us to implement in a reasonable amount of time for us to make it for this particular build. So we're just not even going to worry about it right this second. So you can see our renderer is quite nice here. We have some really cool directional lighting that's going on with the sunlight. And of course, if we wanted to, we could say disconnect that, you know, add in a spotlight if we wanted to. We can do some ambient lighting as well. You can like change your cone angle. So, you know, light spot is a new thing that's coming as well. You can kind of see that you've got like the angle indicator. We're gonna have some better indicators here. You can change like your cone ramp and your elevation, things like that. So if you want to like a searchlight or something like that, or say you had an animated light from 3ds Max or Houdini or whatever, and you wanted to import that as an FBX object with, you know, rotation or whatever, you would be able to plug that in to the position, or basically the transform of the light, and have that light interact with your volumes and stuff. So it's going to be pretty cool. Somebody also asked, are you guys looking into USD in the future? Yes, we do have plans for USD in the future. I do not have a timeline on that. That is another very complicated format, but it is planned. And so let's see. And somebody also said FBX is tied to Autodesk. Well, the good news is that, to my knowledge, Blender can export FBX. You know, pretty much every tool out there can export to FBX, so I don't think it's too big of an issue right this second that it's all that we support. I think the biggest problem is going to be, like, say if you want, I don't know, like an Alembic liquid sim or something like that imported, and it's probably going to be difficult to make that in FBX animation. But Alembic is next, and then we'll do probably like USD and stuff like that afterwards. And so then Gil answered the question in the chat about, you know, do polygons affect performance? Simple answer is yes. The more polygons you have, the more we have to voxelize in real time. So like every single frame, we're voxelizing this animated mesh on the fly. So, you know, if you have millions and millions of polygons, well, it's going to be a little bit slower. but for the most part, it's still really, really fast in general. And so somebody said, can you bake the output of the emissive color into the VDB sequence? No. We have plans for like custom channels that you can export, but like by default, I don't think that VDB supports color exports. And then with some stuff that we're going to show you today, maybe you won't really need VDB exports after some of the new stuff that's coming. So one thing that I'll show you that's pretty cool, shows animated cameras. So you'll notice that we have this animation node where we brought in our little jogging circle guy. So he's just jogging in a circle in a loop. And then we have camera animation inside of this. So we have animated geometry. We're plugging that into our collider. We could also plug him into the emitter if we wanted to. So if we, actually, let's see. So if we plug that into the, there we go, into our shapes. Looks like there's actually like some kind of haze problem. Yeah, I think I recall hearing something about that. Huh, that's pretty funky. the stuff touching the bounds. So yeah, so I guess the animated emitter is kind of funky right this second. But regardless, it does work. But anyway, we have this camera that's plugged in. So what we do is we have camera information. Then we have an actual camera object that you add. From here, you've got your field of view, rotation, position that you can plug in from your FBX cameras. So then if we go up here, when we select camera 1, let's see, there we go. Let me hide the collider. And so there we go. We're hiding the actual character. So now you can see this is kind of what the character is seeing. The camera is parented to his eyes based on the animation. And so you can kind of see that he's like, you know, walking through the smoke or whatever. And so, but you can do this with any camera. It doesn't have to be first person on the character. So if you have a specific camera and you need a shot that you want to line up and track, so say that you had, say, cell phone footage or actual, you know, footage in general, and then you track that and added a camera in 3D space to match that. So you did all your camera tracking, you did your FOV calculations and all that stuff. Here's what you can do with it. So there's a guy, his name is Daniel, I guess is how you pronounce it, in our server. And thankfully, he provided us with some tracking footage. And so here you go. This is camera tracking inside of EmberGen. And then we overlaid the EmberGen render onto his tracked footage. And so it will be a seamless process to do this inside of EmberGen. So as long as you have the camera, and in this case, I think it was from Fusion, you'll be able to import that camera data into EmberGen and then render out your simulation. And then it should work as expected. And you can see we just have like a simple little fireball here. It's just a quick mock-up to make sure that it actually worked. But in this case, camera tracking is working pretty much perfectly. And yeah, so you'll be able to kind of overlay your simulations directly onto your footage. And you know, maybe you won't need to render volumes elsewhere, because a lot of the problems that we hear is, my renders don't look as good as EmberGen, right? Whenever I have my volumes and other tools, I can't get it to look as good as EmberGen. That's because we use a ton of different cool volume shading techniques and stuff that really, honestly, nobody else does. And so we kind of want to be the best at that. And in this case, you can get some really cool volumetrics and whatnot by just importing your cameras and your tracking. So that brings me to like holdout objects. Currently, we don't have holdout objects in EmberGen right this second, but we will by the time this releases. So you certainly will be able to have, you know, 3D mesh representations of said volume or whatever, and then be able to make it so that your fire that you're tracking and that you're compositing into your other tools actually looks volumetric. So it's going to be really, really cool to see how this stuff plays out. And if anybody has any like footage with like tracked cameras that they can export to FBX and they are willing to let us test with, please send us that footage and those cameras, because we want to make sure that it works in a lot of other cases. We're not, you know, particularly the best at, say, compositing and whatever. So if you have the like stuff that you would want to use to composite, we can put some stuff in those scenes and make sure that it all works. So if people are willing to help us out with that, that would be really cool. And so VFX Man says, could you just place a black material on GU as a fake holdout? No, not directly, just because our renderer itself doesn't render colliders inside of our what do you call it, inside of our thing. So if we go to the preview here, you can see the geometry just doesn't even show up at all. But in general, what you're talking about, yes, that kind of is the plan. You'd have like a black collider or some kind of like alpha channel or something like that, and be able to use it for masking purposes. Goran says, would you guys be willing to release an alpha of this version? No, is the gist. But if you are a skilled VFX artist in film or in games, and you seriously want to help us test, and you have really good, a really good grasp on the VFX workflow in general, we do have people that we are working with, and they have access to these builds. Otherwise, if you are a licensed user and you're in our Discord channel and you have the licensed user tag, we do plan on giving out some early builds to them as well whenever our new UI and stuff is ready, so that we can show that stuff off to you and get some good feedback before we release it to the rest of the public. So yeah. Somebody says, EmberGen for UE4 virtual production, any tips? The only tip that I could probably give is if you like looking to composite stuff in there, you would probably want to export your Unreal cameras and then play that back in EmberGen, export that as a sequence, and load that into Unreal if you're using like very specific tracked footage. Otherwise, you might want to use like Niagara or Cascade with flipbooks from EmberGen, and that would probably do you well. So let's see. What else do we have? So Explosion 4. I wonder what this is. So it looks like it's another explosion, and I fixed the big issue where it was really bright at the beginning. You can kind of see we have like some dithering issues here. I'm pretty sure if we bump up the quality of the viewport, that would go away. That just slows down our renderer a little bit. But overall, it's really cool to see this fire shading. So this is one that I actually did a little bit later, and it's got some really, really cool shading. And we can see that if we go in here to our lighting node, we can kind of change like this color ramp. We can change how quickly it fades to red or fades to yellow, and so you can kind of fix that out. And then if you wanted to say change like your color vibrance, maybe you wanted some deeper colors, you can do that in post. And then you also have different HDR modes and things like that, depending on what you're using. So some pretty cool stuff. We can also change like our bloom intensity if we wanted to, make it a little bit more bloomy. And so definitely really, really cool. So let's see what's next. Let's go back to our other build here and see what other quick presets we can open. And then what we'll do is we'll kind of go over some stuff in the new UI and show some of that stuff off. So back up to here, we got our presets. So here's some demolition, which should work. Watch it crash because it's not the right mesh or something like that. Jeez, I made a big mistake when I what do you call it? When I mixed old presets with new presets. So I think I just need to like look at the dates or something like that. Sorry about all the crashes, guys. Whoops. Let's see. Okay, so here's all of our new stuff. So here we go. Broken Pillar. This is the one I was looking for. I know this one's gonna load. Watch it like not load or something like that. Come on. Uh-oh. Okay. Even the broken pillar doesn't work. Gil, for some reason our build is broken. It was working before the stream. Now it's not. I don't know why. Okay, maybe particles will work. Okay, so here's another animated mesh. Finally. All right. So this one works for some reason. All right, so in this case we have like a little what do you call it? A torus. So the torus is imported, and then it breaks down and fractures into different chunks and things like that. And we're using our particle system, so it's almost like snow in this particular case. So this is a pretty cool simulation. You can see that it breaks into chunks, and we support all the different chunks and things like that. And it looks like we have a bunch of different animated geometry. I wonder what the different things are. I don't know. I'm not the one who made this preset, so I don't know what all the other animated pieces are. But definitely pretty cool that we have this support. And so it's going to be really, really interesting to see what everybody can do. And so like what we would do in this case is we would have like the holdout object or whatever of this. You'd be able to import your camera or whatever and then render it from a particular view. Make sure that your stuff isn't being shown from behind, say like that. And then it would look nice whenever you composite it. And so I think the last thing I want to show is our, I guess you pronounce it Hadouken? I don't know. I'm not a huge Dragon Ball Z guy. But we have this right here. You guys might have saw it on Twitter or Reddit or Facebook or wherever. But in this case, this is a pretty cool animation made by Gil in our chat here. And you can see it's a bit slow, but that is because it is a 104 million voxels, and so it's quite a large simulation. So there you go. There's the Hadouken, and so pretty powerful, really cool simulation. And so we've got some of our newer fire shading on there and whatnot, and in full motion it looks really good. So like let's see real quick. Yeah, so we can pull it up here. So here's the full speed version of it whenever you render it out. And it only takes a minute or two to actually render this whole sequence out. So EmberGen is still pretty quick. It's a pretty cool simulation. And so that just shows a little bit of what you'll be able to do with your animated meshes. And what happens is like right here, we have like this sphere kind of up here in the FBX. And then we use that position for like our lighting data, and then we also use that sphere as the actual emitter. And so we timed all of that stuff inside of the animated FBX, and we'll have actual animation retiming curves and stuff like that inside of EmberGen as well. So definitely going to be really cool to see what you guys do with all this stuff. Let's see, there might be a couple more presets, and then what we're going to do is we're finally going to jump into some of the new UI stuff. And so let's see here. I think I've shown you pretty much everything that I wanted to show off. We do have, like, say, these larger flames, and what this is showing off is kind of like our new turbulence system, I believe. And so if we go here, and let's see, volume post-processing. Yeah, so in our post-processing, we can kind of see, like, by default in EmberGen, like, what you would get if you had just flames in general is, like, you get this really harsh, just, like, temperature gradient. Like, everything is the same. There's no difference in temperature. So what you can do is you can apply actual turbulence to that temperature, and it makes sure that you have different temperature variations, because that's what gives you that realistic look in your fire. And then if we come over here, and I bet if we flip our channels, we would probably get some really cool fire. Looks like we're using some other stuff in this particular shader. Maybe let's turn off masking. For some reason, it's really blue. And so, yeah, just kind of playing with this real quick. Let's see, shaping by flames. Okay, color remapping. I wonder why it turns blue. I don't know. I haven't seen that error yet. There we go. So we can kind of get some different flame coloring in there, kind of boost that or lower that if we want to. And so you can kind of see the flexibility of EmberGen here. We can kind of change like our base coloring and stuff like that here. Make it a little bit brighter. It's a little bit red, but hopefully we have some better parameters here so that you can actually control your gradients with a little bit more fidelity and all that. So but definitely cool. So you can see you can get green fire or whatever really easily. So it's gonna be really cool to see what you guys do with all this stuff. Definitely a lot more power in our flame shading and stuff like that now. So I'm really excited to see where you guys go with it. Okay, so without further ado, we can always come back to this if you guys have more questions, but I'm going to show you first off a mock-up of the new UI. So here you go. I can't take it back now. It's on stream. So basically, what we have is this. This is the new EmberGen. As you can see, we've got our viewport. We've got a new timeline system. So you've got like your frame rate. You've got a new curve editor that you can go into. You have color-coded primitives and say different nodes, things like that. We have a new tab system so that there's completely new tabs. No more infinite scrolling. The chat going crazy. There we go. We've got all new node system. So we're going to have it be really easy, really intuitive. And I'll go ahead and show you guys the live version of this. It's not complete. So this is the actual UI that I'm going to show. It does not have all the features yet, but we're working on it. It definitely doesn't have like the proper simulator and stuff like that in it. Like the camera, like that's in the new UI, I can't even move it. So just bear with me. But other than that, we're going to go ahead and show off part of the new UI. This is the, what do you call it? The first look. You guys are the first 105 people to see it. So here we go. Whenever you start EmberGen, this is what you'll see. Nick and the boss man. Yeah, so I'm the boss man apparently. So here we go. You can see we've got like our community forums, Facebook. You can go click on some tutorials and things like that, and you can kind of see here it popped up our tutorials on my Google Chrome. You can get Rickrolled. Shit, I just got Rickrolled. I didn't even know that was there. And there we go. So look at that. 2021 still getting Rickrolled. At least it didn't play, right? So there we go. So you can click like new project or you can close. So that's kind of like our new home browser. Still tons of you know, work to do on it and fill it up with cool content. Let me just see the comments real quick before we dive into this. Let's see. EmberGen. Yeah, that's definitely it. Easier scrubbing. Yes, we have that. I'll show that off. This looks really nice. Etc. Lots of stuff. Getting Dragon Ball Z and Rickrolled. Somebody said, when is this coming out? End of this quarter is the goal. Okay, so like I said, I can't really move the camera like in the viewport because it doesn't work. But what I can do is, let's see, I'm probably on like Y or something like that. There we go. So we can kind of center this up a little bit. You can see it's really funky. But anyway, so it's pretty cool. You've got different full screen modules, so you can make anything full screen if you want to. And I'll show you like a little bit of just a quick workflow. I'm not going to dive too much into the UI because I don't want to spoil some of the secrets, and a lot of stuff just isn't functional yet. But what we'll do is, like, let's say that we wanted to edit the position of this little emitter, and then we wanted to scrub the animation to preview the animation, and then maybe we wanted to add a couple parameters to our favorites for quick browsing and use the search function and stuff like that. So I'm going to show you just how crazy good this new UI is. So what we would do is we would go to our shape primitive, and right here you've got these little circles. What you do is you click it, and then you can see the icon for this is white. So the little diamond for this is white. You can see we also have a nice tooltip with icons showing you the different types of overrides that you can do. So really cool. I wonder if you right click, does it do anything? No, I was expecting it to go back, but it doesn't. So anyway, so you've got that. And so we added it to the timeline here. And now you can see, I don't know if you guys can see it really good on stream, but if you look at the very bottom left, like down here, if you look down there, you can see the actual shortcuts for whatever window you're in. So like in the node graph and whatever, the other windows don't have it yet, but you can say it shift click to see a new key, control click for select multiple, control mouse wheel to zoom in and out, all that stuff. So definitely cool stuff. So if we hold shift, you can see that you have like a ghost of where the key is going to be. So let's just go ahead and add a key to Z here. We'll add a key to Z there. And then what we can do is we can go into the curve editor, and then we can actually edit this curve. And so now you can see we actually have tangents. So we have fully working tangents for basically everything. So if you want things to, you know, go in an arc or whatever, you can. And we can kind of manipulate this thing like this. And so now we can review that and play it in the sim. And so normally you have to wait on the simulation to preview this stuff. But if we just grab this little scrubber here, now we can preview the animation while the sim and everything is running. And so of course it's not going to like completely match up your sim if, you know, if you're like timing specific things with your simulation. But in general, once we have like the ability to see our emitters and stuff again in this build, you will be able to scrub and kind of, you know, play with that thing and make sure that it's got the positions that you're looking for. So then the second thing is, say that I wanted to add some keys. If I go over here and I start editing stuff and I just drag this timeline, boom, it's going to start adding new keys for me. So as soon as I restart, bam, new keys are starting to get added, all that stuff. And so this right here just quickly, you know, makes keyframing a breeze. You can see that anytime we change something, it adds new keys to all the different curves and lines and whatever. So going to be really, really cool to have a full curve editor. And then you can see, you can get out of the curve editor and just see a nice keyed view. And if you want to, you can select, delete, whatever. Super simple. Going to be really, really good. You can control, multi-select, whatever. You can move those keys. So it's going to be really, really powerful. And this is such a welcomed workflow change. But let's say that we're getting into the nitty gritty of it and we want, I don't know, like let's say that we want to change our fuel rate or something like that. And so you go into the simulation and you go, oh my God, I have to search all these tabs. I have to search all these tabs to find the thing that I'm looking for or whatever. You know, maybe you don't want to do that. So like in the emission, what we can do is we can click this little search bar up here and we can say fuel. And look at that. There's your fuel, just like that. You can see it right there. We can go ahead and add it to the timeline. We can double click or shift click. Go ahead and do that. And then we'll go ahead and ramp this up to say 600. And actually, you can see that where the playhead was, it added that. And so that's a bug that we need to fix. So I'll just click that and then I'll type, say 600. And now it should go from 0 to 600. And we can also view like our curve view. And so then like, let's say that we have this, we can collapse the shape here to remove it from the timeline, just in case we want to see that specific fuel curve. And then what we can do is we can right click this, change the interpolation mode to linear, and do the same on this side. And now we have a straight linear curve. And so you'll be able to do linear. So what was it? It was linear, Bezier, I think is how you say that, and then constant. And if you want to know what constant is, if we add in another key right here, what constant does is it makes a constant line and then immediately drops to 0. So you can use that for, you know, animating fuel shut off like instantaneously at some specific point or whatever. So it's pretty cool to be able to have that as a option. So yeah, so we can change this to like say Bezier or whatever. And actually this one needs to be Bezier. There we go. So you can do like linear and then do like a smooth ramp or whatever. So it's going to be really, really cool to be able to edit this stuff and really finesse your curves. So it's going to be really powerful. So yeah, so we can go back to this. We can say fuel. So we got our fuel. Then we go, okay, you know, I want to edit my smoke. Let me increase my smoke rate. Then I'm going to go to my sim and I want to find vorticity. So here we go. There's my vorticity intensity, my large vorticity intensity, whatever. You can change whatever it is that you want. And this is going to be super fast to just edit stuff, find stuff. And then let's say, you know, I always use vorticity all the time. Like I'm always using it. It's one of the most used parameters that I have. And then I'm also, you know, always using, so I can't find that parameter. Okay. So let's type in fuel. You know, I'm always looking for my fuel. So I can click this little star icon. And actually, I clicked the wrong thing on vorticity. My bad. Vorticity. So let's go ahead and do that. You click this star, okay, and it says toggles whether this parameter will appear on the favorites list. Now if you go to your favorites, okay, now you can find your favorites. So you can make a favorite out of any node anywhere, and then you can see it on a per node basis. And so if we just go here and we just add a bunch of stuff to favorites, so let's just add a bunch of random stuff here. Right, and so we'll go ahead and just keep adding stuff to my favorites. I'm going to have a lot. So now we go to our favorites tab. Now you can see that you have a bunch of different favorites. And then you say, okay, well now I'm here. You know, I want to find vorticity. Boom, there you go. There's vorticity. So really, really cool. It's going to be so great. So then we have like our new node browser as well. We've got some new nodes that I can kind of preview as well. So we've got like an oscillator. So for instance, like let's go here. We'll go to our position. We'll actually make that a thing that you can plug in. we can plug in the signal of the oscillator, and maybe we can change the hertz or something like that. Let's see. We'll do like 1, 1, 1, or something like that. Hang on. I don't particularly know how this this oscillator works. We definitely need like a curve view. Yeah, let's see. I'm not very good at this. but basically what it's doing is it creates an oscillation curve, but I have no clue how this thing works. I've never used the node before. Okay. That was a big fail. But you can kind of see it's doing something. I just don't know how it's working or what causes it to work. But I have, one of my programmers showed me, but I forgot. So anyway, you can do oscillations. So like if you don't want to manually curve sine wave, or manually like curve out sine waves, or like what do we have? We have sine, we have sol, pulse, noise, etc. So if you want to just generate random noise or whatever, you'll be able to do that kind of stuff with the oscillator node. You also have like space warp, which I think what this is going to be is like the ability to warp volumes, but I don't know for sure. We'll have to see what the team says about that one. Will there be an improved preview of imported velocity vectors? Yes, that is planned to have better stuff there. So what else is there? Yeah, so you can search for nodes. So say you want a point light, you can go ahead and add that in there. Right now it's giving me an error because with our old system you can't have more than one point light or whatever. But definitely cool. So you can say, you know, I want my scene node, you know, I want an oscillator, whatever. So the whole name of the game of this UI, as you can tell, it's just complete and utter usability. We want it to be pretty. I hope, and I will personally taunt that this is going to be the best DCC, so digital content creation, whatever, UI that there is out there. It's going to be so user friendly. It's going to have everything that everyone's ever wished for. And once we have animated meshes and all that stuff in this particular build, which is what we're working on now. So we're trying to get all the old stuff that I was showing off into this new build. And once we have that, this is going to be spectacular. And so, but yeah, we're still kind of limited on the rest of it. And so what we can do is we can close out, show you the mock-up again. And this is kind of the ideal of what it's going to look like. You'll have your gizmo operators. You'll be able to drag shapes and stuff into the viewport, create new cameras, emitters, all that stuff straight inside of the viewport. It'll automatically hook up the nodes for you, all of that stuff. So Andrea said everything anyone ever wished for. Yeah, pretty much. We're doing almost everything. Almost. Yeah, so lots of cool things coming, guys. We're really excited for this this new UI. And so let's see. We can go back to the old stream build. And yeah, so an overview of, say, like the new lighting system. I think I might have went over it on a previous stream, but I'll kind of show you guys again just real quick. So you have like your directional lighting, you have ambient lighting. We can turn off the whole inherent sky color and all that stuff. So you have an ambient light. If you disconnect that, it kind of changes some like the ambient shadows and stuff like that. So if we plug this in, you can see it gets a little bit brighter, and then we can change like our ambient shadowing on the smoke. You can even go higher than that and get some darker hues on the other side of it. So that's pretty cool. And then inside of here, you can also change like your intensity in particular on that. You can inherit sun color, which in my opinion is far too red, more red than it should be, but it is an option that we're going to have. And then of course you can change your elevation, all that stuff. But then the new thing with this is that now you can have, say, a point light too. So if you want a point light in here, and of course we're going to have gizmos that you can actually come in here and manipulate the light inside of the viewport rather than having to mess with all this stuff. So you can see there, we've got like our point light. We can increase like the bulb size, increase the intensity. We can change the color of it, whatever. So now we have a sunlight, we have a point light, we have an ambient light, and then you can also do like a spotlight if you want to. So it's going to be a really, really powerful system. We can come over here and change like the azimuth of this, bring that in, increase our intensity. Now you can see that. We can change our position, something like this. So you can have, you know, multiple different lights. You can set up custom lighting rigs. you know, whatever it is that you want to do. And so let's see any questions. So I'm going to scroll back up just real quick for a second and see what everybody was saying. So, oh snap, this UI is sexy. Somebody said first. Okay. More people arguing about Dragon Ball Z. Can you scrub the timeline backwards? Yes, as I showed. The only thing is you can't scrub your simulations, but you will be able to preview your animations as I showed. What's coming first? All of this. Let's see. Somebody said, yeah, we'll have to remake all of our presets from scratch to mimic the same effects, but with the new version. Unfortunately, yes, all your presets will break, but we will keep like the old version of EmberGen like in your install, so that if you have old presets, you can go use it. And we'll probably have like if you open an old preset with the new EmberGen, what we'll do is we'll probably have it so that what do you call it? Like you can choose to launch the other version of the software so that you can go in and edit that particular preset. It's going to be unfortunate because you're missing the new UI, but hopefully it's easy enough to fix that stuff. Let's see. It's like Blender, but better. Thank you. Let's see. Y'all worked overtime on this one a little bit. Let's see. Yep, you can change the types of curves. Yes, you can go from linear to Bezier, etc. This looks to be coming around just in time for me. I sure hope so. Please tell me you can move the viewport to the right side. Well, currently no, but maybe we'll have like a couple of different like preset views so that you can like switch from left to right, because some people might have gotten used to the right side. I know that personally I like the viewport on the right side, but like every other tool out there has the viewport on the left, so you'll be able to switch it really easily. Somebody said, oh my god, every problem I've had ever has been fixed with the new UI. I hope so. And let's see. So some of the changes I'm showing up for implemented today. That's probably why I didn't know how to use some things, because I hadn't tested it beforehand. I just wing streams, honestly, sometimes. I do some planning, but a lot of it's just winging it. Okay. We have thought of everything. Well, we haven't thought of everything, but I hope that we get most of it right from the get-go. Yeah, so great work, JingFX team. Thank you very much. Okay, so basically, okay, there's one more that I want to read. It says, the animation import is the center of the scene idea being implemented in the next build for shots that aren't at the origin, which most shots that are in film, from my experience, aren't at the origin. So yeah, we will likely have some sort of thing that you can do to move the simulation bounds to the mesh itself. And then whenever we have sparse, dynamic, whatever bounds after 0.75, that should definitely not be a problem. So, gonna be cool, but I don't have any news on the sparse implementation. Sorry, I had to burp for a second. We had to kind of pause our research on that because there's just so much stuff to do here in the new EmberGen, and so. But it'll come. We have lots of plans to get that stuff out to you guys. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that the thing that I'm personally most excited about is the new pyro shading, for those of you who didn't see it earlier. And then, like, the new smoke shading and all that stuff. And then, of course, we actually have our large turbulence working on this one. So, man, I'm really missing my search function from the new UI. Let's see. So see, this is why we have the new search function, because we're in the new tab system, because we're tired of doing this. So yeah, so if we turn off our large vorticity intensity, you can see that this, like, it has like a lot of errors. So it's got like these plateauing errors. You know, it doesn't really like roll properly and all that stuff. But whenever you add in large vorticity intensity, it creates like huge swirls for a massive fireball. And that's one thing that the main EmberGen has been missing, that this version is going to add, is that large vorticity. Right now it's in the live EmberGen, but it doesn't work properly. And so this is after we fixed it. And somebody was asking about this stuff. So here you can see like our large vorticity preview here. And if we turn this off, you can see that the vorticity isn't as huge. It's like really small, really concentrated, really focused. Like we have like a swirl there, but it's definitely not good enough. And then if we increase this large vorticity intensity, you can kind of see the swirls just in general, I guess, come alive a little bit more. And so we have that layering effect of the small vorticity on top of the large vorticity, and this is pretty powerful. So definitely exciting. And of course, like if we go here, we'll kind of pause it whenever it starts getting to some smoke, and you can kind of see the power of some of this new lighting. So in this case, we're using like a directional light, but you can also use, say, like a spotlight or whatever, and it can get some pretty realistic effects. We can make this spotlight a little bit, you know, orange or something like that. We can even come in here, you know, grab like the color picker or something if we want like an orange hue on this big explosion. And the cool thing is even if you have no lights at all, you can do that in the viewport now, where previously you couldn't have no lighting. So here you can see just what the flames are doing. So the new lighting system is really powerful. This is all within our new rendering system that we have for smoke, fire, you know, point lights, all that stuff. So super powerful. I'm really excited for this. It's going to be awesome to see what's created with it, and hopefully we have some really cool explosion presets. And one big thing that's going to help this out a lot is retiming. So like if we restart the simulation, like we can kind of see that like this is really slow, and like this right here is 60 frames. So like, let's say, like, how would we do this if we wanted to take these first 60 frames and kind of compress them into, say, I don't know, 10 frames or 5 frames, so that we get from 0 to this in 5 frames, and then we have a smooth gradient outwards into this slow rolling motion, so that you can get that compressive, like explosive force, and then change, you know, the speed of it, and then make it normal like this. So we do have plans for retiming in that regard as well. That's going to be a huge piece of the new timeline that I showed in the in the new UI that I was showing off. So definitely going to be cool. And you know, I'm really excited for this. I mean, the new controls that we have for like all of the color ramping and all of this stuff, I mean, it's so powerful. You know, you can have like really bright flames. You can kind of change how your stuff is remapped. I mean, it's going to be spectacular for this stuff. And you know, the biggest thing is that people were saying, hey, you know, I'll call Houdini out a little bit. You know, saying, hey, Houdini looks better, and their new GPU solver looks really good, and look at that pyro shader and all that stuff. Well, look at us, we can do it a whole lot better. And so you know, we want to be able to have like Houdini offline quality in real time. That is our end goal. And I think that you can see here that our detail is really starting to ramp up with our new renderer and some of our new simulation parameters. And as time goes on, I would not doubt it if you could see, you know, ultra high fidelity things coming out of EmberGen. I mean, this right here alone already looks really good. It needs some work. You know, I'll say that it needs some work, but we're definitely getting there. And in every single release, we get just a little bit closer to getting that closeness to offline fidelity. So the big thing that we have to fight is that real time. People say real time doesn't look good. You know, you're losing something if you do it, but I don't think that's true. You know, I think that real time is the future of the industry. And, you know, I think that we are the ones that can make it a reality and show that, hey, you can do, you know, 1 billion voxel simulations in near real time and edit it, you know, on the fly. You know, I don't see why that's a, why that's a problem. And so, yeah, you know, I think this is going to be great. And with the addition of animated meshes and all that stuff, this is just, it's going to blow things out of the water. And I think that for the vast majority of your simulations, there are things that Houdini or FumeFX or whatever can do better. You know, they can do the 20 billion voxel sims and the sparse sims and all that stuff still, but we're catching up with that. And once we have those features in there, I think that for pretty much everything, you'll eventually be able to use EmberGen for it. And we'll have, you know, seamless, you know, mesh imports and camera imports and all that stuff. So somebody said, can we invest in the company? Is their stock available or still private? We are a private company. You know, we've had a lot of people ask the same question, but I guess unfortunately for you guys, we're not taking any money. The only way we take money is by buying our software. So go buy our software. We'll gladly take your money, and then put all those profits and stuff back into the software so that we can build EmberGen and all of our other tools that we have plans for. Oh, here's another animated mesh test. So we also have vertex paint masking. So I'm pretty sure this is a vertex paint example. Yeah, so in this case, we have our red vertex paint. And you can see if we change the reference value, you can have the mesh emit very specific things. And then I think, I don't know exactly how to do it, but I haven't messed with the animated mesh stuff a whole lot. I've been busy with a bunch of other stuff. But what you will be able to do as well is you can essentially take any of your bones out of your mesh and then use those bones in like the stuff that it has like a morph target to or whatever, or the vertices that it's morphing. You can select bones and use that as the emitter as well, in lieu of, say, having to do vertex paint. So you can do basically the same thing by selecting specific bones and emitting from those specific bones. You can kind of see here, you know, our real-time voxelation. It's more of an approximation of the general volume. And we do plan to have like a polygon renderer for this type of thing. And so definitely pretty cool. And I do have one more thing that I want to show here. Just let me find it real quick. It's another secret unveiling of sorts. Let's see. I just need to find it real quick. And so, but I think it'll be worth your 25 seconds of wait time. Okay, any second now. Okay, so here we go. This is this is something to kind of show off here. So you know how Houdini, they have a pig head, Blender has a monkey, whatever. Because EmberGen and our tools are so fast, we decided to go with a turtle and a snail combo. They are best of friends, and the turtle helps out the snail. And the turtle can also breathe fire and other stuff. So this is going to be our test mesh. It will be fully rigged, fully animated. We will provide it with the software. It's going to be really cool. This is basically our mascots, and it's going to be pretty sick. You know, this is really high fidelity. So I don't have any particular names for these guys, but it's just a turtle and a snail. You know, maybe we'll have a specific name for them. Maybe the community can come up with a name that sticks. But in gist, gonna have fully animated. He'll breathe fire. Maybe the snail will be a grenade or something that he can like throw off of his back, catapult. I don't know. It's gonna be kind of funny. But I wanted to show you guys this too. So this is gonna be one of the models that comes with EmberGen, and so I figured it's a good play on speed. So definitely pretty cool. So yeah, Snurtle. Fastest tool and the slowest mascot. So yeah, it's gonna be gonna be really cool. That'll be fun to see inside of the software. One thing that was kind of interesting, another just quick interesting preset was this one right here. We had this weird test that we were doing, and then we found out that having like a vorticity inside of a collider ends up creating like a cool little tornado effect just out of sheer luck. We didn't really plan for the tornado to occur, but it does. And so in the middle of this torus, so it's really a pretty cool, neat effect that we didn't expect, and I think shows just how cool EmberGen can be. And this right here makes me kind of want to show you some things about increasing the fidelity of your sims. So let me open like our old poison file. Oh, this is gonna crash. Of course it is, because it's one of the old things. Here we go. I got the old build on speed dial. Okay, come on, open. Okay. All right, so here we go. Let me go ahead and open up this old poison build. So one thing that you guys can see to really kick off some higher fidelity stuff. So let's go ahead and let this thing warm up. I'm going to leave it on the ×2 upscaling. And so this is 268 million voxels. So 250 million voxels. Let me just make sure that my my renderer here is on the low end of the quality so that it goes a little bit faster. And so just note this is the lowest render quality, and it still looks really, really good. So let's see here. Okay, so this is getting pretty good, pretty high detail. Let me just let it sim for a couple more seconds, and then I will show you a trick that I found to make this really high quality. Okay, so you'll notice that we have like a lot of really, really fine wisps in this smoke right here. And if we turn off our post-processing, which by the way, post-processing on our volumes can export to your VDBs. So that's a really, really good thing that you can do and utilize. So if you for instance, say you want to sharpen this smoke or whatever, which that kind of gives you a cool result here that you can see. It's a little bit, I guess sharp is the word for it. And it might be undesirable. It's not as wispy as you might expect or whatever. And it, like, you kind of have like, I don't know, like really dark edges, and there's, I don't know, just that sharpened look on it. And you can definitely tell that it's sharpened. And so you can export that detail with your VDB volumes, which is really cool. But if you take your dilation, so if we increase our dilation, this is normally what you can do. But we figured that you can take that same dilation setting and you can reverse that. And if you reverse dilate the smoke, it removes some of the other smoke and leaves behind really, really nice, crisp, but also soft at the same time, detailed wisps. And so, you can also go in here and kind of change like the softness or whatever and get like really thin wisps if you want or whatever. But it's definitely a really cool feature and a good way to crank out some extra detail in here. And then of course, if you missed it earlier, I was showing off that you can have multicolored smoke now within your smoke simulations and stuff. So we're using like this color ramp, and if we wanted to say change the base color of this to be like I don't know, maybe just like more green or something like that, you can do that as well. So definitely really powerful. We can change this, upper smoke to be white or whatever, and maybe we do like a cold blue. So now we have him like walking through some icy stuff here, and so really, really cool. I'm excited for this new build. You can see that the the high quality of this. I don't know, man. I am personally blown away by this. I knew that we could do it, but I didn't know when we would be able to do it. And so now I think that the results of the new EmberGen builds are speaking for themselves. So once we get all this into the new UI, once we get these simulations out and about and into the new UI and stuff, we will be ready to kind of give an internal build to like our licensed people who have licenses in our Discord server. And so we have a special channel for that, license user testing. If you have a license and you don't have the tag in our Discord, message me, Nick Sievert, on Discord with your license key, and I will add you to the licensed user so that whenever we get this out, you'll be able to test a little bit early so that we can make sure that everything works, and then we'll be able to do the live launch and all that stuff at the end of this stuff. Andreas Glad said, any more control of the voxelization if I'd want to import a giant sword, for example? Yes. Basically, I mean, you can import, say, any kind of mesh. I don't have any like meshes on my computer right this second, but like, let's take this little dude over here, for instance. If we go to his animation, you can see that his scaling is actually like really, really gigantic. And so, but which I think he might be like in centimeters or something like that, or there was something wrong with this, the way that we imported him. But let me open up, say, like demolition, which I think this is, yeah, okay, so this is this one. So here's another example of stuff, and let me see what the size on this one is. So this one's 500%. So if you brought this into EmberGen and you had it scaled up 500% or whatever, and then you export your VDB as is, and then let's just say that this mesh was at the origin or whatever. So yeah, you will be able to essentially scale your VDB down by 500%, and it would match up with your mesh perfectly. But we plan to have even better scaling controls than that. And I guess Andres is asking more about the resolution on, like, he says he wants to increase it in one axis. I mean, technically, I would think that you... actually, I don't know. Because what we're going to do is we're going to have, like, a voxel size thing with our new build, I think. And so we'll have, like, better balance. But I think it'll just be, like, in general, like your general sim voxel size versus the voxel size of your actual stuff. But, I mean, within our testing, we haven't seen that, like, larger voxels cause any particular problems. And so, Mad for Pixels, if you are an experienced, more on like the professional end VFX guy, like you've worked in the industry or whatever, you can message me on Discord and we can add you to our QA chat and you can test stuff. We need people who like have cameras to test with, footage to track, backplates to import, you know, all that stuff. Like someone who is like seriously willing to help us test that stuff. So like if that's you, if you say, hey, I have backplates, I have cameras, and I have animated meshes and all that stuff, then let me know and I can add you to QA. Otherwise, we would ask that you just wait for the licensed user build to come out if you have a license. Any chance of a scale comparison with a human? We'll probably have something like that, but I don't know to what extent or when it'll come, but it should be fairly easy. I think the new EmberGen is going to be like in meters, and so it should be pretty simple to tell how big something is. We're going to have like a new ruler and stuff too, so like if we look at our little mock-up real quick again of the new UI, you can see we have like 1 meter squares, and so hopefully we'll be able to see that in like vertical axes and things like that as well. So it's going to be really cool. I think that it'll help everybody quite a bit. Somebody said, how do you get the licensed user role in Discord? Message me. Nick Sievert is my name on Discord. You can find me on the top right. Message me your license key. I'll validate it and then add the role to your name. So yeah. Other than that, does anybody have any questions about things that they want to see? That was a pretty good show off of a lot of the things that we have. I might have a couple more animated mesh tests to show here, but I don't know. What is dancing in the smoke? There we go. A guy dancing in the smoke, colliding and whatnot. So yeah, we have, you know, lots of cool stuff. We're gonna have some really cool presets coming out. I think that's basically it. What is torch? Oh yeah. So I had a new take on my original torch preset. What axis is this blowing in? There we go. So this right here is my new take on a torch. It's a little bit on the detailed side, but it's cool. And I think with retiming, this would be a really cool sim. Rashid said, "I'm eager about the license you promised me in the last stream. Message me and we can figure out what you're talking about." Are you planning a tab organization search? You said yes. So if we go back to our new UI build, just real quick, we can see that if you go in like simulation, you have tabs for everything. So there's no more like infinite scrolling on stuff anymore. And then you can also search. So you can say vorticity. You can go over to like our renderer and say smoke, or emissive, or whatever. So you'll be able to do search. You'll be able to have your tabs, all that stuff. Oh yeah, I was like, Rashid, I have no clue what you're talking about, getting a license or something like that. Yeah. I'm eager about the tutorials you promised me in the last stream. Oh yeah. So with tutorials, we might only have like 1 or 2 because we're extremely pressed for time right this second. But as soon as we launch, that basically means that our UI is like locked in on what we're going to do for sure. And then we'll be able to make tutorials, because we don't want our tutorials to like immediately get out of date. And so like as soon as the software launches and it's ready, then we're just going to go into full tutorial mode and just make tons and tons and tons of tutorials on all kind of stuff. So somebody said it's starting to look like real software. You trying to tell me that you didn't like our poorly designed old UI? Is that what you're telling me? Yeah. I don't blame you there. Our old UI was kind of funky. And so, but now we have a professional designer on the team, as you can tell. Oh, look at that. I didn't even know that we had that yet. Can you move this? No. Okay. But you can expand it. That's cool. I didn't know we had that in yet. Awesome. And so, yeah. I like the new full screen thing too, where you can make things full screen. It's going to be really powerful. Let's see. Are you saying my tutorials won't stay relevant forever? Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, we'll probably have like a quick human or something like that. What does direct integration mean in that scenario? Can you rephrase your question so that I can see what you mean? I don't know what you're talking about, direct integration. So yeah, any other questions from you guys? We've got a little bit of time here. Shoot the shit, see what's up. It is a Friday after all. Oh, I see. Gotcha. You asked Peter above. Oh, any plans for a direct integration with game engines like Unreal, for example, with the VFX graph and whatnot? I can't promise a whole lot, but all I can say is that we do have like fairly detailed plans of what a direct integration means. I would hope that we can support volumes in game engines in the future. Obviously, we got our start with games, so we want to make sure that we continue to improve game technology as well. We think that we're probably the best suited people to make a high fidelity, low millisecond cost volume renderer. We're kind of the volume masters, I think. But I don't know. We'll have to see. We're really crunched for time getting all this stuff out, and I don't know. We'll have to see where we go with game integrations. But yeah. Yes, we only plan to like directly integrate into Octane. We do not plan to integrate into any other renderer. For other renderers, you'll just have to stick with VDBs. Somebody said, can you emit from a VDB? No, not right this second. You can't. I think I missed a couple questions. So let's see. Any plans for auto keying? Yes. So like basically like kind of like auto keying. Like if we go here, we add a position here, and we move this, and then we move this. Boom! You can see it's kind of like auto keying. And then if we play the sim, there was something that I did earlier. I can't remember how it happened, but like it was like adding keys as the thing was moving, but I don't know how it did it. Maybe it only happened in the curve view. I don't know. I can't remember. But what we plan to have like things where you can like manipulate the actual simulation thing in the viewport and all that stuff and get all of that out. And also you can see that we've got like a blue thing right here that's like controlling our loop. So you can also control like your looping really easily. So like if you want it to be like really short or whatever, you can do that. And you take these and move them over. And like one thing, see like how we like just like moved these curves. Oh, we have undo as well. So it's like, oh shit, I did that. Undo. So we actually support undo redo in this new version. And then if we wanted to move those keys like into here, it'd probably be better to do this, something like that, and so that you don't change the curve values or something like that. What we should probably do is like if one of our UI guys are watching, we should probably have it so that like if you select multiple ones, like it like I don't know, maybe not like locks, but you can like hold shift or something so that it locks on like a particular axis or something like that, so that it doesn't move, so that we don't have to like go back here and change those curves. So yes, that's the gist with auto keying. It is planned. NVLink support. I don't know when we'll have that. Multi GPU is very difficult. Let's see. Did fluid channel min max values get listed yet? I don't know what that means. Direct integration, Epic style. They buy Jenga effects. Well, if Epic Games wants to buy us, you can go tell them to come talk to us. But right this second, we don't have any like offers or anything from anybody, so sad. we're standalone for now. I don't want a buyout to affect our end goals of helping multiple industries. Let's see. Can't wait for this new version with the new features. I should be able to use this for my VFX project. I surely hope so. This real-time system in a game would end the industry in a good way. I don't know if it would end it. There's still room for sprites everywhere. I mean, this stuff is super taxing on your GPU. Really happy about the timeline improvements. That's great to hear. When you guys eventually have functionality, have a fully functioning suite between EmberGen, LiquidGen, and VectorAgen, do you have any plans for Adobe-style bridging between them? Yes. Is importing animated camera possible? Yes. I can show you that in a second, by the way. EmberGen is super cool, but it's way too slow to run in game engines. Never mind shading. You are correct for now. Until we get our new R&D stuff that we're going to do this year. You'll see. Tutorial for creating loopable sims would be nice. That's definitely planned. Undo, yes. Smiley face, of course. We finally have undo, which I think that undo like even works on like this stuff. So yeah, so like we come over here and move all this crap and do this. Oh my gosh, guys, I forgot to show you like one of the best features that we have. So yeah, there we go, undo. Check this out. Comments automatically expanding as well. And you will be able to like hold shift or something to like break something out. You can remove from group, go here, add to group. Oh, and we also have this for the OCD people, kind of like me sometimes. Auto aligning, you know, or here we can do let's see, how do you do it? Select these two nodes. Shit, hang on. It's because I need to add it to the group. Add to group. There we go. Now we can do this. Align to the left or align to the right. So automatically automatically aligning stuff. Yeah, I can't believe that I forgot to show off the comments. That's one huge thing, you know. Super easy. Oh, I spelled that completely wrong. There we go. I think that's how you spell it. Easy peasy. So yeah, really cool. We also have some nifty new color gradients as well over here. And here's our new color picker. It's a lot nicer. And oh, yeah, watch this. I don't know if we can save colors yet, but hang on, let me just see. Apply. Yeah, there we go. So now we have we also have like recent colors. So like if you like really like this color or something like that, you can apply. And there you go. There's like your recent colors. Damn, I hate that thing just keeps popping back there. UI guy, fix it. So yeah, so you can save color swatches and all that stuff. So that stuff's going to let's see. That'd actually be a good feature. Live motion path recording by moving the mouse. Yes, that is planned. For export of VDB, the min-max range of the fluid value is needed for third-party renderers. We'll probably have some more advanced VDB export controls here soon, but I don't know if it's going to be specifically what you're asking for. Yes, this is a single 3090 for my presentation. Any support for stereoscopic rendering? No, but you could probably cheat it. Like if you imported two different cameras at two different positions, like that matched your stereoscopic render, and then it was animated or something like that, you could certainly import two different sequences and merge them together or something. Let's see. Will the new UI be available at 0.75? Of course. That's one of the big things we're waiting on. I love how Nick is really hyped about the new features. Seen that 1,000 times with engineers presenting their shizzle. Huge selling factor. Yeah. I'm not even an engineer on this stuff. I portray the vision and do the business and the live streaming and get everybody pumped up. And then our super wizards, they're the ones who do all the really crazy stuff. I'll just open up the other EmberGen just real quick, so that somebody can see animated cameras. I think. Hang on, I need to open up the other build. This one's gonna crash if I open it. Okay. Oh, there we go. That's why it's not exiting. So hang on one second. So we do have an animated camera example for that guy who's asking. Okay. Thank you for crashing unexpectedly. All right, so presets, animated cam, and then we go here to camera. You can see here's an animated camera example for the person who's asking. I think it was Uchith, something like that was asking. So here's an animated camera example for you, showing that you can import cameras. Chat's moving really fast for me. I'm trying to catch everything. Save colors between files. I sure hope so. That is the plan. The color picker needs hex number support too. Okay, we'll try and add that. UI guy fix it. Nick Ziepert. Yeah, that's me. Export presets will probably happen too for like color gradients and color pickers. Love the new curves. Love everything. Awesome. All the new features. Heavy breathing. I'm breathing heavily too. You just can't hear it because my mic has a pop filter. Let's see. One more thing. Save loadable color gradients, please. Yes, that is coming. Now, whether or not those color gradients will be interchangeable between other tools, I really don't know. But other than that, yes, stuff like that is coming. So yeah, and so for the people who might have missed it, we had a tracking example over here showing the power of EmberGen's new camera import system with tracking and being able to easily composite stuff. So if you have your scene or whatever, you this is cell phone footage from a guy named Daniel on our Discord. Thanks to him for providing us with this. And basically, he took it, you know, tracked the camera in Fusion, imported this, and then we used our new camera system in EmberGen to properly track the footage. So it's going to be really, really, really awesome for filmmakers on this too. Yeah, and so Agile Aardvark says, nah, it's just an option to save a gradient you spent an hour tweaking to look, so that you can, that was a mouthful. Basically, he wants to reuse the gradient later. Yes, you will be able to do that. Fractional upraising like 1.5x or something, that will, I can't say yes for sure, but that will probably be a thing. That'll probably be a thing. If Vasvik is in the chat, he can let us know if we're gonna have the new, what do you call it? If we're gonna have the new simulation settings for this build. I think we are, because it's like one of our most high priority things. Basically, like if we go here, a little bit of internal stuff here is basically the way that EmberGen works right now is you have like bounds that you can show. So this is 128 by 128 by 256. The voxel size here means absolutely nothing. I mean, it changes stuff, but like in the end, it means absolutely nothing. There's still going to be 128 voxels in this scene, and like your voxel size will change. But what you would probably expect is that if you change your voxel size, what you do is you have a specific bound size. So say 12 meters by 6 meters by 6 meters or whatever. You have that, and you don't have an explicit voxel count. So whenever you change your voxel size, it gets higher resolution or lower resolution. And then that alone will open the doors to fractional upscaling, if you catch my drift. So that's the way that we plan to have EmberGen working in 0.75 as far as I'm aware. I can't promise it because I don't know for sure if we'll actually be able to make it in time, but that is the plan, to have that kind of stuff in there. So yeah, I mean, I would like to see it because a lot of people are like really confused by this like whole apply new resolution, upscaling, whatever, you know. So we want to make sure that we don't fall off on that, and so we want to make sure that we fix that, because a lot of people have complained about it. And so, and like you watch like a live stream or a tutorial of somebody else using EmberGen, and they like change upscaling like this. They go, oh, you know, ×3 upscaling. Hey, it doesn't really look any different. Maybe it does. I don't know. And then they like placebo themselves into thinking that it changed when you actually have to click apply resolution to get that extra upscaling goodness from it. So yeah. That's what he said. Will there be more control on VDB output parameters and value? You would have to elaborate on what you mean, because that could mean a lot of different things. So let's see. So I think one thing that I might do real quick before we go is I might show you guys like making, I don't know, like an explosion from scratch with our new what do you call it, with our new fire shading and things like that. Just kind of show you how things work. Obviously it's not going to be as representative of the final 0.75 of EmberGen, but nonetheless it'll kind of give you a little bit of a workflow into using some of this new stuff. So let's go and hop into that. Let me just make sure that I'm on the right build. I want to be on the latest stream build. Okay, looks right to me. All right, so basically what we can do is I guess we'll probably leave the torus here, and we'll do a radius of like 2, and then let's go ahead and increase like our pressure rate maybe. Okay, and so what we can do, we increase our pressure rate, and we want to key our emitter activity. So we'll have it be on, and we'll have it be off, something like that. And then what we want to do is increase our fuel rate, something like so. And then we also want to say increase our Norris scale and our amplitude. And And then I want to go into my simulation. I want to make sure that this is 4th order BFECC so that we get more details. Then I probably want to make sure that we have a pretty high vorticity and a pretty large amount of large vorticity so that we get some nice rolling effects. And let me go to my renderer and turn this down to the lowest quality settings so that it's speed conscious. And so then what we can do is maybe let's kind of fix some of this shading. So I'm going to turn off inherit sky color. I'm going to turn off inherit sun color. And then I'm also going to delete my ground. And then I'm also going to delete my skybox as well. And so now we just have like a black viewport here, a little bit easier to see some stuff. And so then what we can do, we'll just let it keep hitting the bounds for now so that we can kind of mess with the shading a little bit. So we'll go over here. Okay, cool. It's named shading in this build. That's nice. All right, so we've got our, say, our shadow intensity. Let's kind of like fix our smoke a little bit, add some variation to that. So what we'll do is we'll just make it, say, black over here, and then kind of change our color ramp to add in some more variation. And maybe we want this to be like, I don't know, say 0.18, 0.16, so that it like fades into like a little bit of an orange color. So there we go. So now we got some cool color variation going on. We can kind of change like our color remap. And then inside of our simulation, we probably want to increase, so like we want to remove like our temperature dissipation, I think. And then we probably want to lower our vorticity. See, I'm really missing the search function right now. Okay, so we got something like that. And so now let's go ahead and actually increase the bounds a little bit. So we'll do like 256 by 256 cubed, like that. Okay, so we've got a pretty cool little explosion going on now. It's okay if we hit the bounds on the top. We can see like some really nice vortices. And I think we also have turbulence going on with our temperature, or not, but we can add a little bit. There we go. So adding a little bit of temperature turbulence to kind of get in some extra stuff there. Probably want to increase like our turbulence size. Okay, so now let's kind of like work on this flame shading a little bit. So inside of our shading, what we'll do, we'll turn off masking. I don't want that. We can go ahead and do the reverse color ramp thing like I had talked about previously. Maybe we'll do like 1.8 and I don't know, like 0.6 or something. That's probably far too high. Here, let's go ahead and hop into our color picker. So we'll just kind of finesse this thing a little bit, try and get some of those reds out of it, and we can help with that in a minute too. So let's see. So we'll probably do something like that. We still got some reds here, but that's okay. We can kind of force those out with color remapping. Maybe we'll do like 25, and so we have that. And then we can kind of change this ramp right here to kind of fix things a little bit. And let's increase like our shading by flames. And then, let's see. I'm trying to get some better coloring in here. It's a little bit difficult. Okay. So yeah. So we're kind of finessing it a little bit. It's just a bit on the difficult side. Okay, so I think what might be the cause, I have a feeling that temperature turbulence is part of the cause of that, so I'm going to turn it off for now. So we have this, and of course we have like all of these rendering artifacts. We can increase our render quality a little bit so that we can see this better. So instead of our shading, so we have that, and I wonder, yeah, I don't think it was masking that was this. So we can kind of like increase that. We can change our flame density to be a little bit lower. And I think there's also like a flame translucency parameter that I might be wanting as well. So we have something like this. So that's looking a little bit better. It does kind of have that translucent effect that I was looking at. But I think to have better things, we probably want some more vorticity here. So let's see, a little bit more vorticity intensity probably. Yeah, something like that. And then what we can do is possibly increase our maybe like our temperature vorticity, and then we want to increase like our buoyancy a little bit too, I think. And then we can probably, so yeah, so this is starting to look pretty good now. Okay, we're getting somewhere. All right, so we have that, and then I probably also want to make this like 55 on our noise amplitude to kind of like blow that out really good. Get some variation in our explosion here. And so you can see that it just takes a little bit of finesse to get the right flame shading. So now we've got some pretty good colors, but we might want to, you know, maybe brighten that a little bit. Something like that. It's looking pretty good. And I wonder what happens if we run turbulence over it now. And so we also have like the masking, which like lets you control like how the smoke like masks your flames and whatnot. It's a little bit on the finicky side, but it can certainly help out with some different explosions if you want a lot more variation from there. So within that, let's see, we can also kind of change up our smoke a little bit, maybe darken that a bit more so that we get some more flames popping. And then I believe it was in the volume was where we have the temperature turbulence. Yeah, so the temperature turbulence kind of causes some issues. One thing, let's see, if I change the bias, does that help at all? Yeah, so the temperature turbulence, it adds like higher values as well. So that's one thing to keep an eye out for. Maybe we can lower the turbulence as well. And so, yeah, I mean, that's a pretty cool little explosion. It's not the most perfect shading ever, and I don't think it's quite as good as my refined explosion that I had like over here. But it's definitely cool. And so we'll make sure that we include some higher detail presets like this as well. But that's the gist of how you create the explosion. You know, you just expand the bounds and kind of watch it go up. And then, oh, one thing that I did on this one too that I forgot on the other one is I had like actual noise force in the simulation. So if I remove the noise force, you'll see that like we get it rolling up and like it looks decent, but there's not, like, you can kind of see like these like voxels of temperature like we were having in the previous explosion just now. But whenever you add some force into the simulation, you're injecting that extra turbulence, and your fireball grows a little bit more realistically, and you get more realistic flame shapes, I think. So let's see. Is there any more control over 6-point lighting exports? I mean, we have, so like if you go here to your renderer and then you add in 6-point lighting, you can control your like 6-point lighting parameters here. We have a ton of different parameters, as you can see. I don't think 6-point lighting is working in this build right now. I can see real quick. Let's see. Preview, 6 points. Okay, yeah, it's working to some degree. Not completely, but some degree. So let's say you have that. I mean, you can change like your, you know, your exposure, or your gamma, or, you know, your phase eccentricity, your light base level, shadowing intensity. I mean, we have some pretty good controls for it. One thing I would probably like to see is maybe seeing like the 6-point lighting view replicated in like your real view, so that you can like see the actual light rig or something like that, and maybe like control it on like a better basis, I guess. Maybe like this right here would like spawn like actual lights or something for the capture, and then you know, maybe that will work. That's probably something for us to look into in the future. So since there's a growing film video VFX focus with EmberGen, are we going to have HDRI support at some point? Yes, that is planned, but I don't know when. We plan to have HDRI support in general for like backgrounds, but if you actually want that to light your simulation, that's a lot more difficult because we don't use like a path tracer. We just have like a ray tracing ray marcher thing, but it's like cheating or something like that. We're using like a hybrid, so it can't, I won't say it can't cast raised from like the HDRI, but it's probably a bit more difficult. So I don't know a timeline for that, but it is planned. Somebody said GLSL shaders should be really cool, coming up with your noise, or coming up with your own noises to seed emitter volumes, etc. That's kind of a rabbit hole. I don't know if we'll do that. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. As Agile Aardvark says, image-based lighting is really a ton of work. We'll probably have it, but it would be really far in the future. So like I can't even like promise this an absolute yes. It's really difficult. Yeah, because EmberGen is already like really complex, and what we would probably recommend is that you just use like our new lighting system, have like some spotlights and like an ambient light and things like that to kind of mimic your HDRI scene is probably the best idea for you. So yeah. I mean, I don't know about sampling lights. I don't know how that works, but maybe. Cavale, I guess is how you say the name, said, any chance for interactive bound adjustment in the viewport? We kind of have plans for something that's like interactive, but I don't really know what I can say about it, because it's one of those things where it's kind of difficult. Because on one hand, like we want the safety of like we want the safety of like the apply button, because you don't want to like accidentally type 50,000 or move your mouse to like 50,000 and then like suddenly your whole computer crashes because it can't fit all that in the memory or your hard drive or your RAM or something. And so yeah. So I don't know, but we have plans to make the general volume workflow better, and then whenever we have sparse grids, the whole volume thing won't even really be much of a problem anymore. So it's just a what do you call it? It's just a matter of time. Per light render pass. That would be kind of cool if we could do that as well. But I don't know when that would be, and that would probably be in later. Yes, we are planning sparse simulations. We've already done a lot of research on sparse simulations, and we were going to try and implement it in EmberGen for 0.75, but it's just far too much work to actually go from research to like a live ready build in 3D and stuff like that. So it's a huge task. It's going to be after 0.75 that we get sparse simulations in, but it is coming. So, but I don't have a timeline for it when it's done. Anything after 0.75 is going to be a when it's done type thing. So yeah. Let's see. Is there anything else that I wanted to show? I don't think so. I think that I mostly showed you guys everything that I was looking for. I'm gonna try this one again. Does it work, or does it crash? I think it crashes. For some reason, some of the presets are crashing in EmberGen, even though this particular build. Oh. In task by task manager. So EmberGen will be integrated into Cinema 4D through our Octane plugin whenever that's done. I don't have a timeline on that either. But it won't be a plugin like directly from us. It's going to be from Otoy, since they licensed EmberGen's source code. but it will still be EmberGen as close to 1-to-1 as possible inside of Cinema 4D or Houdini or whatever you use that uses Octane. So other than that, let's increase my picture. Let's see. There we go. So, you guys, you kind of saw everything. We kind of spilled the beans on the new UI and whatnot. And, you know, that's basically it. So I'll just have that shown in the background while I talk a little bit. So, other than that, you know, which actually I can't show the new UI because my fat face is in the way. So it is what it is. I'll make me small again so that you can see the UI. The UI is better than my face. There we go. Okay. So anyway, you know, we have lots of plans this year. You know, we're going to get 0.75 out at the end of this quarter. Hopefully, you know how software development is. It could just take like 5 more months. I don't know. But we're planning for the end of this quarter. And so definitely, we're on the right path though. There's a lot of things that we have to do still. We have to port our entire sim and renderer over to the new build, for the new UI system and stuff like that. So it's taking a lot of work. I mean, we have a lot more features to, you know, work out with camera imports and back plates and holdout objects and tracking and just all kinds of crap. So, you know, lots of stuff to do, but we're pretty confident we can get it done by the end of March. And then, you know, other than that, you know, we have plans for LiquidGen as well. No ETA on that. I will never, ever promise a date or a general time or anything on LiquidGen because there's far too many unknowns. Ideally, we would want LiquidGen to be real time or as close to real time as possible. Obviously, that's kind of the point of our company, and so we would really try hard to make it run on the GPU and make it run fast. And the idea behind it is, you know, shallow water simulations and splashes and, you know, viscous substances and blood and milk and honey and whatever. Can't promise a whole lot, but that is kind of the goal. We obviously have to do a lot of research on it, and we hope that it works out very nicely. LiquidGen will basically have this same exact UI that you see here. It'll be node-based. We'll have some cool timeline controls and basically the same stuff from EmberGen, just simulating liquids instead. And so your knowledge will transfer very easily. And so, but yeah, no promises on what the speed of LiquidGen will be. No promises on the date it will be. You know, all I can say is that we need to expand our team a little bit more. So go buy our software and support us, support our salaries, because there's 10 of us right now. And so, you know, we can use that money to expand and throw some people on LiquidGen whenever we're ready. And so it's coming though. And we have some plans to do some like internal R&D and continue down that front after 0.75. And, you know, somebody said 3 years and 2 months from now. Yeah, you know, I won't promise a time. I was going to say I highly doubt it'll take that long, but who knows? Liquids are difficult. And so, yeah, you know, other than that, that's basically all I got, guys. Thanks for joining the stream. We capped out at like 100, I think it was like 115 people was our maximum peak, and like we had over 1,000 people come by the stream. So there's like 1,120 people came to see the stream today throughout time. So that's pretty cool that we had that amount of people. That's a lot of people that actually came by. At least I assume that's what playbacks means. So thanks for all your support. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I don't have anything else to say except yeah, last thing, like I said, if you are you're more on the professional end of filmmaking and like you have cameras that we can test with, and like animated FBX cameras, footage that you like have tracked and matched the cameras, you know, animated meshes, anything, like please let us know. Send me an email, nick@jangfx.com. We need to test with as much stuff as possible from all different tools to make sure it doesn't crash. And you know, and if you are that film guy and you or girl and you want to help us test, go ahead and message me on Discord, and I will be happy to add you to our QA chat, and then you can get access to these builds like today, if you are more on the professional end of things, because we need experienced people right this second to help us test. That way there's not like a whole I don't know what I want, so I can't really tell you type people. But if you are a licensed user, hopefully soon, I won't promise a day, but hopefully soon, within a couple weeks or something like that, maybe we'll have a build ready that we are ready to give to you guys so that you can test it before we actually do a real release of 0.75. So we do want some like more mass testing on that end. So if you have a license and you want to get verified, message me on Discord, Nick Sievert, and then yeah, send me your license key and I'll verify you, and you can get added to that chat as well. So, what a mouthful. I think that's everything. We won't have a stream for a while. Probably like mid-March or something is going to be our next stream. And by that time, EmberGen should have taken a whole lot more shape, and hopefully, I can't promise it, but hopefully, most of EmberGen is in the new UI by that point, and we'll be able to do a stream completely with the new UI. So, yeah, this is it. I was really excited to show off the new UI. I was contemplating like showing off the new UI at the very end of at the beginning of like our actual launch, but I was like, oh, I'm too excited. I just can't wait anymore. And so hopefully you guys can provide us with feedback on the new UI as you see it, you know, just as is, and say, hey, do you have this? Do you have that? You know, kind of tell us what you want so that we can make sure that we're either building for it and that it's in the 0.75, or that we'll add it later. So, yeah. Other than that, lots of good stuff. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for everybody saying that it was a great stream. I appreciate the encouragement. These streams are hard to put on sometimes, mainly from like a difficulty standpoint, as you can see with all the crashes and being in front of so many people, but it is what it is. Thank you very much. I'll go ahead and say peace out, guys, and you know, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Bye for now.